They're saying that Usher is a faggot. He has women suing him for giving them herpes, and he has a man suing him for giving him herpes as well. Now, allegedly, both the women and the man caught herpes from Usher through sexual contact with him. At first, I thought the man must have caught it indirectly when Usher fucked his girlfriend or wife, or Usher and this man ran a train on a girl. But they're making it sound like this was some type of direct homosexual situation. Now, if that was the case, that's surprising because I never thought that Usher was a homosexual. I thought he was just some big music star who all the girls loved and who was getting laid non-stop with women. He's famous, he's successful, he's rich, he can dance, he's in good shape. I assume, I'm not the best judge, but I assume that women think he's good looking. He's arrogant. I mean, this guy, he had a lot of women. He had access to a lot of women if he wanted them. So, for example, I remember when he came to my city several years ago, and they had him on a local TV show, and there was a bunch of fans got a chance to talk to him, and one of the fans was a young, attractive female. He had a couple of young, attractive female fans, and they were all over him on this TV program. And they brought the fans up to talk to him, and one of these girls was maybe in her early 20s. She had her breasts all pushed up, and she had a tight shirt on, and she looked good. She had a cute face. She was excited. She was bouncing up and down, shaking up and down, rubbing all over her body. And after all the fans asked their questions, Usher whispered something in the girl's ear, and the girl seemed very excited about whatever he said. I assumed that he invited her to come back to his hotel room afterwards, or something to that effect. And I was thinking, this guy's lucky. I wish I could do that. I wish that was me who could take that girl back to the hotel and fuck her in every position. I wish I could have a crowd of girls and just point out to my security and say, I want that one in the lime green shirt. I want that one over there in the back in the red. I want that one over there to the left in the yellow with the big tits. That would be a dream come true for me. And that's what Usher had in real life. Now, that's why I assume that Usher was just a player, just a playboy having sex with all these girls. I never thought that he was a homosexual. That thought never crossed my mind. Now, I don't know if Usher really had sex with another man or not, but it seems like that's what the lawsuit implies. Now, another thing is, it seems strange that they're suing Usher for herpes, considering how common herpes is in the general population. So herpes, I believe it's something like 1/4 to 1/3 of the adult population, or 1/4 to 1/3 of the population is infected with it. So it's very common. If these are sexually active people who are sleeping with other people besides Usher, and Usher was not their only sexual partner, how can they prove that they caught it from Usher? How could they prove they caught herpes from Usher, considering that it's such a common infection? They could have caught it from their last sexual partner. They could have caught it from the one after Usher. Now I'm thinking, it seems kind of weird for them to get paid millions of dollars over herpes. So I'm thinking that maybe it wasn't herpes. I'm thinking that if Usher gave these people some type of STD, maybe it wasn't herpes, but some other sexually transmitted infection. But I'm just speculating. Now, like I said, I never thought Usher was gay, but there was one strange thing about him. That was his ex-wife. Now, so several years ago, maybe, I can't remember the date, 10, 15 years ago, 2005 maybe, I can't remember the exact date, but he married an older woman, Tamika Foster, who I think she had 3 kids with another man. When he married her, she was 8 years older than him. I don't think she was very good looking. I think she was overweight. And I don't think she was overweight in a good way either. Like, I don't think she was thick. I think she was just, shaped like Precious from the movie. So, so like I said, I remember the groupies back when he came to my city and he was on TV, and he had all those groupies throwing themselves at him, all those young pretty groupies throwing themselves at him. I didn't understand why a rich, apparently considered good looking by women, famous, successful, arrogant, etc., etc. Well, I didn't understand why someone like that would choose to marry an older, not so good looking woman with a bunch of kids from another man, when he could have had any of those beautiful young women who were chasing after him. So that marriage did not make sense to me. Now, at the time, I had heard that he was very close to his mother, and that I believe his mother died recently, or his mother died shortly before he married that woman, Tamika Foster. So I assumed that this older woman was like a surrogate mother for him, and that's why he chose to marry this less attractive, high baggage woman who was almost 10 years older than he was, when he could have married any 18 or 22 or 25-year-old young pretty thing that he wanted. Because usually men, a lot of times you see these guys who have a lot of choice in terms of women. They marry a young pretty girl who doesn't have kids. I'm not sure why Usher would have wanted to marry that woman. I could understand if it was a younger guy who didn't have a lot of options. If it was just some young guy who worked at Burger King and didn't get a lot of attention from women, didn't have a lot of choice in women, I could see someone like that marrying a woman who's 10 years older than him and has kids from other men and isn't that good looking. I can understand that. I can understand if it was a 50-year-old man marrying a 20-year-old woman who already had kids, a 20-year-old single mother. That I can understand that. But someone like Usher, who had all these other options, all these women to choose from, marrying a woman who's older than him and who has 3 kids from a previous relationship, that didn't make sense to me. So that marriage was kind of strange. But now that this lawsuit has come out, I'm thinking that if Usher is gay or bisexual, his marriage to Tamika Foster may have just been a way to cover up or conceal his homosexual behavior. Maybe people had started to spread rumors and say he's gay, or there's rumors were starting to surface about his homosexual activities. I'm speculating here. Maybe that's why he wanted to marry this woman. Maybe Tamika Foster was willing to look the other way and keep quiet while Usher got faggy with other men, just as long as she got some of his money to support herself and her litter of other men's children. The other thing about Tamika Foster is that she doesn't have custody of her own kids, at least according to her Wikipedia page. So she had an ex who is the father of, I think he was the father of, she had 3 kids. One of the kids died, according to Wikipedia. So apparently the father of her first baby father has custody of her first 2 kids, and Usher has custody of the kids that he had with her. So I don't know, usually the courts give custody of children to the mother, right? Usually that's the default position, is to give the mother custody of the children. So the fact that she doesn't have custody of the kids and the fathers have custody, that makes it seem like there's something wrong with her, like she's not a suitable mother, she's not a fit mother or something. So that's another reason. I mean, that's another reason why basically this woman seems like this woman is not. I don't understand what would be desirable about this woman. She was older than Usher, wasn't that good looking, overweight, had kids from another man. She apparently is not even a good mother. Can't even take care of her own kids properly. So anyway, and what this reminds me of is a documentary about female sex tourists or romance tourists or whatever you want to call it in Cuba. Now, in this documentary, one of the female sex tourists was a middle-aged or menopausal unattractive, belligerent, disagreeable, basically a bitchy white American woman who had a young black Cuban boyfriend who was maybe, I don't know how old the guy was, he looked young, like maybe 18, 19, early 20s. Now the young black Cuban guy seemed very gay in his mannerisms, and his dream was to go to the US and I believe to become a dancer in Las Vegas. And so my point is that a lot of men wouldn't want to put up with a woman who has bad looks, isn't very good looking, is bitchy personality, an older woman. A lot of men wouldn't want to put up with that. But it's not surprising that this disagreeable, this bitchy white American woman found a guy who didn't even like girls, and he had an ulterior motive to get to the USA and become a dancer in Las Vegas. So it may be that Usher had an ulterior motive in marrying this woman who wasn't very attractive, this older woman who wasn't very attractive. So like I said, it may have been the same thing with Usher. A lot of men don't want to marry a woman who's much older than them and has lots of baggage, especially if they have access to a lot of pretty young girls to choose from, like Usher did, which you could see. I mean, it was very obvious from any one of his concerts, or everybody knows Usher had a lot of female fans. So maybe Usher was just using Tamika Foster for ulterior motives, like covering up his homosexuality or bisexuality or whatever. But basically there's a lot of homo stuff going on in the entertainment industry overall, and as well as in other industries. So you have gay sports coaches who like to touch boys, like Jerry Sandusky, and a lot of other ones who aren't as high profile. I read about the cases in the news sometimes, but I don't remember the names of the people. But you hear about it. You have Boy Scout leaders. You have them in the Catholic Church and some other churches and religious communities as well. In the music industry, you have behind the scenes homos who are into that type of stuff. The old white guy who managed Alicia Keys, Clive Davis, he came out and said he was bisexual a little while ago, a few years ago. And that might have been because he was getting blackmailed or threatened. Someone's going to expose him, so he came out and put it out there first. Then there was that Lou Pearlman boy band guy. He was another one. People had stories about him molesting the boys. So who knows what some of these people are doing to all those new young boys that they're bringing to the industry. And Usher started his singing career at a young age, maybe 12 years old. So that may be where he learned it. Now here's an analogy that I'll use. If you took a bag of sugar, take a cup of sugar, and pour it on the ground outside, and just wait. Pour some sugar outside on the ground in the morning. Come back in the evening, and there'll probably be a bunch of ants at the sugar. Right? So it's the same thing with all these. Where if you have a bunch of young boys around, you're gonna get a bunch of NAMBLA, pederastic type, diddly type people coming around, being around that situation. So I feel it's the same thing in the music industry or even Hollywood, where if they have all these young boys, these boy bands, and these young male singers, and these young people coming in, these actors or singers. So of course you're gonna get a bunch of these predatory homosexual males coming around that situation. So I think there's a lot of homo shit in the entertainment industry, Hollywood, music industry, and anywhere else where you have a lot of boys, from sports to religious organizations. So that's just how it works. So maybe that's why you have all these homos or alleged homos like Usher. Allegedly, I don't know for sure, but Usher and what's the guy's name, Bobby V, and all these people in the or a lot of these people in the music industry. And of course, Atlanta, we know Atlanta that has a lot of homos.